The crystal bowl at the top shelf of your china cabinet, the one you have carried from house to house, is either a $15 yard sale leftover or a $12,500 piece of American history. The difference is one detail you can check with your bare hands tonight. One of these 8 is something you almost certainly own. Let us see if you have one. Cut crystal perfume bottles. A small glass bottle, maybe 4 inches tall, sitting on a dresser tray or tucked inside a vanity drawer your mother left behind. The stopper is still in it. The perfume dried out decades ago, and the whole thing feels like a dusty decoration from another life. That instinct to leave it in the drawer makes sense. It is small, it is old, and nobody is shopping for empty perfume bottles. Or so you would think. Here's what the bottom tells you. Turn it over and look at the glass itself. Not a sticker, not a stamp. You are looking for a name etched directly into the surface by acid. Most crystal perfume bottles from the mid-20th century bring $5 to $30 at a flea market. That is the truth, and I will not dress it up. But if you see the letter R before the name Lalique, the entire conversation changes. René Lalique signed his work R. Lalique before his death in 1945. After that, the company dropped the R. That single letter separates a $20 bottle from one worth $800 to $5,000. Verify. That is 3 months of groceries sitting in a vanity drawer. Your test tonight. Turn every crystal perfume bottle in the house upside down. Look for an etched signature scratched into the glass by acid. If there is an R before the name, you are holding something a dealer at the estate table will never point out to you. They will offer $12 for the box and hope you never flip it over. The lost story here is always the same one. The daughter keeps the colorful bottle with the fancy stopper. The plain frosted one goes in the donation bag. It was the plain one. It is nearly always the plain one. Crystal knife rests. A pair of small glass bars sitting in the back of a silverware drawer, shaped like tiny dumbbells or little rolling pins. Most people under 50 have never even seen one used at a table. They look like broken parts of something bigger, and they end up in the junk drawer with the rubber bands and the dead batteries. No one faults you for tossing them in there. Nobody uses knife rests anymore, but pick one up. Here's what your ear is about to tell you. Crystal knife rests were standard on a formal American and British table from the 1880s through the 1920s. The best ones were hand-cut during the American Brilliant period by makers like Hawks, Dorflinger, and Hoare. When formal dining culture collapsed after the Second World War, knife rests disappeared from the table and into the drawer. A single common knife rest brings $3 to $10. That is nothing. But a matched set of 12 in an American Brilliant period pattern can bring $300 to $1,500. Verify. That is a month of utilities and then some. Your test tonight. Hold one by the end between 2 fingers and tap the middle gently with your fingernail. Lead crystal rings like a small bell, and the tone holds for 3 to 4 seconds. Regular glass gives a flat thud and goes silent immediately. If that little bar in your junk drawer rings, do not let it go for a quarter at the yard sale. The set of 12 gets broken up over the years. 2 go in one drawer, 4 get donated. 6 end up at a flea market sold individually for 50 cents each. Separated, they are pocket change. Together, they were worth more than the silver sitting right beside them. And the humble piece most of you own, the one sitting in your cabinet right now, is still waiting at number 1. Cut crystal doorknobs. An old glass knob on a bedroom door, or sitting in a coffee can in the garage with the rest of the old hardware from the last renovation. It is cloudy, maybe chipped on one side, and it looks like something that belongs in a dumpster, not a display case. That instinct makes perfect sense. Nobody saves doorknobs. Here is what the light is about to show you. Victorian-era homes from the 1870s through the turn of the century used genuine lead crystal doorknobs. They were not decorative glass. They were hand-formed crystal, and the best ones were 12-point knobs with deep facets that caught the light in every room of the house. Companies like Bennington and several New England glassworks produced them, and when cheaper pressed glass took over after 1910, the handmade ones stopped. Common glass doorknobs from the 1920s and later bring $5 to $15, but a genuine 12-point Victorian crystal knob in good condition brings $75 to $400 a pair. The mercury glass examples, the ones with a silvered interior, have sold for $200 to $800 per pair. Verify. Your test tonight. Take a doorknob or pull one from that coffee can and hold it 3 inches from a bare light bulb or a window with direct sun. Real lead crystal throws rainbow prisms on the wall. Distinct colors: red, blue, green, separated clearly. Regular glass gives a white or yellowish glow with no color separation at all. The renovator pulls them off every door in the house, drops them in a box, and puts in brushed nickel. The box sits in the garage for 5 years, then goes to the dump. Those knobs were paying for the new ones and then some. Crystal powder jars, a lidded glass jar on a bathroom shelf or buried in a box labeled Grandma's Vanity. It is round, maybe 5 inches across, with a flat lid that does not quite sit straight anymore. It looks like something you could buy at any home goods store for $4. You are not careless for walking past it. Nobody looks twice at a powder jar. Here's what nobody thinks to check: the bottom. Crystal powder jars from Heisey, Fostoria, Cambridge, and Baccarat were standard pieces on a well-dressed vanity from the 1920s through the 1950s. Heisey closed its doors in 1957, and their molds were destroyed. That matters. Anything with the Heisey Diamond H mark on the bottom is from a company that no longer exists and never will again. A common powder jar brings $10 to $25. A Heisey or Baccarat example, in clean condition with its original lid, has sold for $200 to $2,000. Verify. That is a car payment sitting in a box in the closet. Your test tonight. Turn the jar over and run your thumb slowly across the center of the base. A hand-finished piece has a polished pontil, a smooth, slightly concave circle where the glassblower's rod was snapped off and then ground down by hand. Machine-made pieces have a completely flat, seamless bottom with no trace of handwork. If you feel that smooth little dip, you are holding something that was made by a person, not a line. The estate sale puts it in a box marked bathroom stuff, priced at $3. The buyer knew exactly what they were picking up. The family did not. Mid-roll. Before we get to the top 4, there is something most people never stop to see. Every piece of crystal we have covered so far looked ordinary on the surface. The powder jar looked like a dollar store leftover. The doorknob looked like old hardware. None of them announced their value. That is the entire point. Value in cut crystal has nothing to do with how impressive it looks on a shelf. It comes down to a small set of signals. The maker's mark, the way the glass was finished, whether the piece is complete and original. I put all of these signals together in one place. Lead magnet name is a guide where I walk through the marks, the dating clues, the condition checks, everything you need before you sit across the table from a dealer. It is linked below if you want it. Now, back to the countdown, and I will say this plainly. From this point up, every piece I name is one somebody has learned to fake. Cut crystal decanters, a heavy glass bottle with a fancy stopper sitting in a bar cabinet or a dining room sideboard, probably right next to a set of matching glasses nobody has touched in years. It looks like a wedding gift that never found its purpose. Everyone assumes a crystal decanter is a $50 antique store standard, and most of the time, that instinct is not wrong. Here is what separates the $50 decanter from the $3,000 one. The stopper. American Brilliant Period decanters, made by Hawkes, Libby, and Hoare between 1876 and 1916, were hand-cut, and each stopper was individually ground to fit its own body and no other. When mass production took over after 1920, factories switched to interchangeable stoppers. The original stopper is everything. Common crystal decanters bring $15 to $50, but an American Brilliant Period decanter with its original hand-ground stopper has sold for $500 to $3,500. A Hawkes panel cut decanter with a perfect stopper brought over $2,800 at auction. Verify. That is 2 months of rent. Your test tonight. Pull the stopper out and try to fit it in any other decanter you own. A genuine hand-ground stopper was made for one body only. It will not sit flush in anything else. Then put it back in its own decanter and feel how it seats. It should drop in snugly, no wobble, no gap. If it rocks or sits crooked, that stopper is a replacement, and the value drops from thousands to under 100. Here is where the enemy shows up. Someone at the estate sale quietly switches the stopper, takes the good one, leaves a generic behind. The family sells a $3,000 decanter for $40 because the stopper did not match and nobody thought to check. That swap takes 5 seconds and costs you a fortune. Here the ground shifts a little. Crystal candlesticks. A pair of glass candlesticks on a mantle or inside a dining room hutch, maybe with old wax still dripped down the sides. They come out at Christmas and go back in the box. You look at them and see decoration, not money. Everyone assumes crystal candlesticks are common wedding gifts, and most of the time, they are right. Here is your answer, and it is right at your fingertip. Baccarat has been making crystal candlesticks since the 1820s. Waterford produced them before closing in 1851 and again after reopening in 1947. Pre-closure Waterford candlesticks are exceptionally rare. Even the post-1947 pairs from the 50s and 60s hold strong value with collectors who know the difference. Fakes exist, and they are getting better. Common crystal candlestick pairs bring $20 to $60, but a verified Baccarat pair brings $400 to $3,000. Pre-1851, Waterford has sold for up to $4,000 per pair. Verify. A week of pay on your mantelpiece, ignored every day. Your test tonight. Run your fingertips slowly along the edge of one of the deepest cuts in the glass. Hand-cut crystal has a sharp, crisp edge that catches your skin. You will feel it. Machine-pressed crystal has smooth, rounded edges with no bite at all. If that edge is sharp enough to feel, that piece was cut by a person, not a machine. The pair gets separated. One goes in a yard sale box, the other stays wrapped in newspaper in the attic. A single candlestick is worth a fraction of the pair. The buyer at the yard sale comes back the next weekend, asking about the other one. By then, it is gone. Hold number 2 in the back of your mind. The piece I most want you to check is still coming. Cut crystal punch bowl. A massive glass bowl in the back of a high cabinet, too heavy for one person to lift comfortably. It probably has not been used since the 1970s. There might be a set of matching cups somewhere behind it, or they might have been given away years ago. You are not careless for ignoring it. Nobody throws punch parties anymore. It feels like a relic of a world that does not exist. Here's the truth. That relic might be one of the most valuable pieces of glass ever produced in this country. Between 1876 and 1916, the American Brilliant Period pushed cut crystal to a level of detail that has never been matched since. Companies like Hawks, Libby, and Dorflinger competed to produce the most intricate hand-cut crystal in the world, and large punch bowls were the showpieces. Every cut was done by hand against a spinning stone wheel. When the First World War shifted factories to wartime production, that level of craftsmanship stopped and it never came back. Common crystal punch bowls from the mid-20th century bring $30 to $100, but a genuine American Brilliant Period bowl in pristine condition, no chips, no cracks, with a matching stand, has listed for $12,500. Verify. That is 6 months of rent. That is not a punch bowl. That is a retirement check sitting in a cabinet. Your test tonight. You will need a second person for this. Carefully turn the bowl upside down and look at the underside of the base. A genuine American Brilliant Period piece has a deeply cut pattern on the bottom, usually a hobstar, cut into the part nobody ever sees. Reproductions and later pieces skip the bottom entirely because the maker knew no one would look. If the underside is cut as deeply and as intricately as the sides, you are holding something serious. Do not set it down hard. The family uses it for fruit for 20 years. One grandchild chips the rim, reaching for an apple. That chip just cost the family thousands. Or worse, the whole set gets donated because nobody wants to host a punch party. The dealer at the thrift store back room sees the mark and pulls it off the floor before it ever reaches the shelf. Crystal stemware. This is the one nearly every one of you owns. It is in the china cabinet, probably behind the good plates. A set of crystal wine glasses or water goblets your parents received as a wedding gift in 1960-something, or your grandmother kept for holidays and never let anyone touch. You know they are there. You have always known they are there. Here is the truth everybody needs to hear. The name you recognize is almost certainly Waterford. It is the brand that comes to mind first, the one people say with confidence at estate sales. But fame is not value. The pattern the whole world recognizes is almost never worth the most because the whole world already has one. A Waterford Lismore wine glass, the most common pattern they ever made, brings $8 to $15 at resale. I will not inflate that number. It is the truth. The value was never in the brand name stamped on the box. It was in the details. Which pattern? Which decade? How many pieces survive? Whether the set is complete. A less famous pattern in a full service of 12 with no chips from a maker who stopped production can bring $600 to $3,000 as a complete set. Verify. Not per glass, per set. But that is a car payment. Maybe 2. And it was sitting behind your dinner plates the entire time. Your final test. Hold one glass by the stem and wet your fingertip. Run it slowly around around the rim. Lead crystal sings. It produces a clear, sustained tone that holds in the air. Regular glass stays silent. Then flip the glass over and look at the foot, the flat circular base, under a strong light. You are looking for a tiny mark etched into the glass. Not a sticker, not a label, etched. That mark tells you the maker, and the maker tells you the pattern, and the pattern tells you the value. Every skill you practiced tonight, the ring, the etch, the sharpness of the cut, the weight in your hand, you're using right now on this single glass. You have been learning this all along. You are not careless. Nobody ever taught you to flip a wine glass over and read the bottom. The family clears out the china cabinet. The everyday glasses go in the kitchen. The crystal stays in the box and goes to the charity shop. Someone who knows the pattern walks in the next morning and buys the full set of 12 for $6. They sell it online for $2,000. The family never knew. That is the lost story I hear more than any other, because stemware is the piece nobody stops to check. Now you know. Do not give away a single piece before you check the bottom. Number 1 is in your cabinet right now. Go look. If this helped you see your crystal differently, tap that like button. It's how this reaches another person who's about to sell a whole set for $5 at a yard sale. Subscribe, because next week I'm walking through the marks that separate a $50 vase from a $5,000 one, and you'll want that before your next estate sale. Now tell me in the comments, what's the oldest piece of crystal in your house, and who gave it to you? I read every single one.